Tonight on Reporting Scotland, what happens next after last week's gender ruling? The issue moves from court to Holyrood. Politicians discuss next steps. Some want to move on, others want apologies. Also on tonight's programme, 3 boys with a rare muscle-wasting disease will be the first to get access to a life-prolonging drug, but others are still waiting.
I hope you can get this quickly to all of the boys who deserve it. They all deserve it, they all need it.
The Health Secretary says he's working with health boards so every eligible child gets the drug as soon as possible. After a 6-year wait and 5 failed surgeries, a woman finally undergoes facial reconstruction for a rare condition in her jaw. And fancy a round of golf at the Old Course in St Andrews. If you're lucky, it might only cost you £42.
Coming up in the sport, as the Premiership season approaches its climax, we hear from players eager to play important roles at both ends of the table.
Hello, I'm Laura Miller. Welcome to Tuesday's programme. Last week, 5 Supreme Court judges made a ruling on the definition of a woman. Now, politicians here must work out what it means in practice. And today, the Scottish Government accepted it must move at pace to implement the effects. The unanimous judgment said that a woman is defined by biological sex under equalities law and was the culmination of a long-running legal battle. It comes as the Dean of the Faculty of Advocates criticised comments made by a Scottish Greens MSP at a protest against the ruling over the weekend. Here's our political correspondent, Phil Sim.
Last week, the Supreme Court issued a unanimous ruling in favour of the women's rights campaigners who took the Scottish Government to court. Returning to Holyrood this week, ministers have accepted the judgment and are hoping to move on.
This judgment has confirmed the definition of women under the Equality Act. There have been many challenging arguments over the past 5 years, and I hope that we can move to a point where we again focus on progressing equality for the people of Scotland. The pursuit of equality is not a contest between communities. It is a collective effort to build a fairer Scotland for all and the foundation on which this Parliament was built.
Some in the opposition are keen to hold ministers' feet to the fire.
John Swinney owes an apology to the people of Scotland, but especially to women. And this harmful ideology must now be rooted out of our entire public sector: schools, prisons, hospitals and policing.
How did this Parliament and this government get this so wrong and let Scottish women down so badly?
But other politicians are still raising questions about the ruling. Trans groups held rallies at the weekend to voice their concern. And at one, the Green MSP Maggie Chapman said this:
"Not in our name to the bigotry, prejudice and hatred that we see coming from the Supreme Court and from so many other institutions in our society. Not in our name, never in our name."
The Faculty of Advocates, which represents Scotland's courtroom lawyers, says these are appalling comments from any standing politician. They call it irresponsible and reprehensible behaviour and call for a fulsome and swift apology. But Ms Chapman is unrepentant.
I'm not going to apologise. I stand by my comments because I think what's really, really important is that, firstly, we understand what it is we can do now to ensure that trans people's right to live with dignity and respect are upheld, that we do everything we can as a society, as legislators, as a parliament, to ensure that the rights of all people are upheld and protected.
This debate has always been a controversial one because it involves groups who feel their very identity is under question. And clearly, the heat has not come out of it.
Ministers are meeting with the Equalities Watchdog on Thursday to discuss how public bodies should implement the ruling. They hope that will be the first step to putting a divisive political row behind them. Phil Sim, Reporting Scotland.
Well, let's get the thoughts now of our political editor, Glenn Campbell. And Glenn, as Phil was saying, this has been a hugely contentious issue. Will the government be able to move on from it?
Well, the clarity that we've had from the UK Supreme Court has not ended conflict over these issues. That's evident in the protests by trans people and their supporters at the weekend. It was evident here at Holyrood this afternoon when the Social Justice Secretary felt the need to state the obvious that there can be no excuse for vandalism, for criminal behaviour, for death threats, all of which have been reported since the UK Supreme Court's ruling. And that conflict is also evident in those comments from the Green MSP Maggie Chapman suggesting that bigotry is coming from the UK Supreme Court. Her critics, incidentally, would like those comments investigated further by those who police the conduct of MSPs.
And Glenn, is it any clearer what the practical implications of the Supreme Court ruling will be?
Well, we've had absolute clarity from the judges that when the Equality Act refers to a man or a woman, it is referring to biological sex. What we have not had is a translation into clear guidance what the practical implications of that will be. The Scottish Government acknowledges that services may need to be provided in a different way. They are beginning conversations with the Equality and Human Rights Commission on Thursday, and that's the body that is the watchdog for the Equality Act across Britain. And the Commission itself has promised revised, updated codes of practice by the summer. But there will be people right now working in the NHS, in the prison service, in education, who can't wait until the summer because they will have to make decisions much sooner on the provision of single-sex spaces, the use of those spaces, and what alternatives might be available for those who identify as trans.
OK, Glenn Campbell at Holyrood, thank you. Boys with a rare muscle wasting disease, whose care is supervised by the NHS in Glasgow, will be the first to get access to a life-prolonging drug by the end of next month. Parents of children with the condition Duchenne muscular dystrophy have been campaigning for their boys to get Givinostat. But there's disappointment from families in other regions like Lothian and Grampian who may have to wait months for it. Suzanne Allen reports.
The families sat around this table are in a race against time. Their boys, like 7-year-old Michael here, have a condition called Duchenne muscular dystrophy. It's incurable and affects mostly boys, causing muscle weakness and heart and lung complications. Life expectancy is shorter. Today, after campaigning to get access to a drug called Givinostat, they met with the Health Secretary. He's promised to help deliver it to all eligible boys, but says it's ultimately up to clinicians.
We're going to be working with health boards across Scotland to make sure that where possible this drug is made available through the early access process that is available to clinicians to access drugs such as the circumstances in this. We're working with health boards to make sure that any possible barriers to that happening as quickly as possible are removed.
This drug matters because it can keep boys walking and running for longer. With Duchenne, every passing day means muscles get weaker. It's why parents are desperate to get it.
Thank you for helping us with this, and thank you to Neil Gray for coming and meeting with us today, and I hope you can get this quickly to all of the boys who deserve it. They all deserve it, they all need it. This is simple, this is easy, and if we can't do this, what can we do?
The drug has been approved as safe, but hasn't yet been authorised for routine use on the NHS. However, the NHS in Glasgow can get it through an early access scheme and is rolling it out to a few boys from the end of May. There's disappointment that other regions, like the Lothians and Grampian, aren't ready yet.
Enough is enough. It's time to deliver this life-saving drug before it's too late. We cannot, the families say, we cannot have a two-tier health system in Scotland. Deliver this drug across the board to every boy that requires it.
The future for boys with Duchenne is uncertain, but this drug could buy them precious time with family and friends. Suzanne Allen, reporting Scotland, Glasgow.
To some of the day's other stories now. And the families of 3 teenagers who were killed in an accident in Dumfries and Galloway have received compensation. Jake Loy, who was 17 at the time of the crash, pleaded guilty to killing Ian Cannon, Finlay Johns and Tyler Johnston following the crash on the A711 Dumfries to Dalbeattie Road in March 2022. A jet ski with 2 people on board has collided with a pier in Lerwick Harbour. One person has been taken to hospital following the incident near the Shetland catchfish factory. Coast Guards, police and the ambulance service are still at the scene. And a book of condolence for Pope Francis has been opened in Glasgow. It's open for the public to sign from 9 a.m. until 5 p.m. every day until Friday in Glasgow's city chambers. It comes as several world leaders, including Sir Keir Starmer and President Donald Trump, confirm they will be attending Pope Francis's funeral on Saturday. His body will lie in state at St Peter's Basilica from tomorrow. Alana Brownie damaged her jaw after an accident on her bike as a 10-year-old. She was left with a rare condition that can leave people with the face of an adult but the jaw of a child, which can then lead to constant pain and eating difficulties. Now, after a 6-year wait and 5 failed surgeries, she's finally been able to get the reconstruction surgery she needed. Lisa Summers has been following her journey.
When I look in a mirror, I don't like what I see. I just look at other people and just think, why can't I be like them?
A bike accident when Alana was 10 damaged growth hormones in her jaw. Her face has matured, but she has the jaw of a child.
You consented 2 weeks ago?
Yes.
She's hoping specialist surgery will change all of that.
He's going to do incisions from here, kind of right the way down my ear. He's going to move my top jaw up, and we'll see how that goes.
It's a long and complicated operation. Only one surgeon in Scotland combined jaw and reconstructive surgery. But if successful, it should give Alana a fully adult face. The operation took longer than planned, but all went well in the end.
It took nearly 12 hours to get everything done safely without causing any nerve damage. It is a spaghetti junction, so-called, lots of structures around that area. But I'm really happy with the outcome that's been achieved.
It's sore, it's swollen, but I'm doing good.
Let's just take one by one. There you go. Looks like you've gone under the truck. That's what people describe. In a month's time, you should be happy.
6 days after surgery.
Alana is home in Aberdeenshire. She's on a soft food diet and still has pain and swelling. It'll be a year before she fully recovers.
You need to sit properly.
But a month on and a huge difference in her appearance. This type of surgery comes at a significant cost to the NHS, but Alana says to her it's far from simply being about her looks.
I wouldn't say it's cosmetic, definitely not. It's affected me severely through 25 years of not knowing who I was as a person, to the pain that I had daily.
Alana waited 6 years for this surgery, but says it's been completely transformational.
I think where I am now compared to the 10-year-old girl is, I think I'm getting there, yeah. I know that my swelling's coming down daily, and I've still got a wee while to go yet, but I do think that I'm going to get used to this person, and I like it.
It's been a difficult journey to rebuild Alana's face, but as she turns 40 next month, she hopes for the first time to celebrate being herself. Lisa Summers, reporting Scotland, Saucon.
Hundreds of staff at Scottish Water are on strike over pay for the second time in a month. The 3 unions involved are calling for a higher pay rise, but Scottish Water says its offer is a fair one. The 2-day strike is not expected to have an immediate impact on the public water supply, but there could be problems if things go wrong and aren't fixed. Here's our news correspondent, Jamie McIver.
For the second time in barely 3 weeks, Scottish Water workers are on the picket line. A 1-day strike last month didn't settle the dispute, so Unison, Unite and the GMB are out again. Only this time it's for 2 days. The unions are working together closely and have very similar concerns.
Very frustrated. We've been at this from July last year, so this is dragged on now. We're actually due this year's pay deal, and so we're still going to get 2024s out of the road and get that resolved as soon as we possibly can. We don't take this action lightly. We want to get back to our work, but we want a fair pay offer. We won't be bullied into accepting a deceptive low-ball offer from Scottish Water.
There's been little progress towards resolving this dispute. The company and the unions can't even agree on exactly how much the offer is worth. And without some meaningful progress, more strikes would seem inevitable. The company, which is publicly owned, says the 3 unions should put the offer to their members. Why can't the two sides agree on what the offer is simply worth? Why are we hearing conflicting figures from both sides?
Well, look, all I can say is that our offer is the offer that's on the table, and that offer is 7% over 2 years. And if you take that in with the previous year's payment, that represents a 20% increase over 3 years.
Unison says its assessment of this year's pay offer is just 2.6%. There are no reports so far of any significant disruption to the public water supply. The pickets will be out again tomorrow. Jamie McIver, reporting Scotland.
OK, the news at 7 is coming up on the BBC Scotland channel shortly. Laura McKeever is here to tell us more. What have you got for us tonight, Laura?
Lots coming up, but a highlight, Laura, is Sam Heughan, the Outlander actor. He is talking about a new campaign to get us all outside more often into nature for our mental well-being.
I've been very lucky in my career, certainly shooting on Outlander. We were always outside in the wild of Scotland. But yeah, I mean, honestly, just taking time out, enjoying the scenery. Obviously, we're very lucky in Scotland to have such incredible scenery. But yeah, even 20 minutes can make the world of difference.
And you can see that full interview on the news at 7 over on the BBC Scotland channel shortly. Now, tonight's main news again. The Scottish Government has accepted it must move at pace to implement the effects of the Supreme Court ruling that a woman is defined by biological sex.
And still to come in the sport, Scottish clubs are set to receive €3 million from UEFA. We'll tell you who's getting what and why.
Now, what does £42.50 buy you these days? Lunch for two, maybe? A few cinema tickets? Or how about a round at the hallowed home of golf? Well, under a new drive to widen access to the Old Course in St Andrews, the usual price tag of £340 is being sliced by almost 90%. Louise Cowie has the story.
It's the oldest golf course in the world and arguably the most iconic. It's hosted the Open Championship 30 times and is top of most players' bucket lists. Despite its fame, the Old Course is a public course, which means it's open to all. But following in the footsteps of golfing greats comes at a price. A round usually sets you back £340, but the custodians of the Home of Golf, the St Andrews Links Trust, is launching a drive to make these famous fairways more affordable and accessible.
So we're taking some of the allocation that traditionally we would give to visiting golfers to come here. We're making those accessible for Scottish golfers in a different way. We're reducing the green fee by 87.5% to £42.50 to play this golf course. I think it will be hugely popular. You know, these are very sought after, in demand tee times. We can't cater for everybody. That's just not something that's in our gift. You know, Scottish daylight dictates otherwise. But it's just about doing something that will hopefully, you know, create a new avenue and opportunity for somebody to come and play golf, and maybe this will be the beginning of their golfing adventure to become a champion in the future.
To start, 11 tee times will be made available on the Old Course on the 21st of May. Players who must live in Scotland will sign up in a 2-ball ballot, and those who are successful will then be paired up and allocated a tee time.
I'm a member at Sandy Hills Golf Club in Glasgow, which is just a general members club, but play a lot of courses elsewhere, Kingsbarns, Crail, been fortunate enough to go on the Old Course as well. Very pricey for normal people to come out and play, so anything at all that reduces the cost and gets more people out to play on the Holy Grail, which is behind us, would be absolutely fantastic. So.
A lot of people wouldn't pay the £340, but for £42.50 it's fantastic value.
I think reducing the green fee and making it more accessible to, let's say, normal people with a normal income would be really good, because I think it's very much focused on the tourists, the Americans, you know, the rich Americans who come over, and the people from Asia who come over to play. So yeah, I think it's a great idea.
The cost of a round on the Castle, Jubilee and Eden courses is also being cut, giving more than 700 golfers a chance to grace these greens for less between May and October. Over the last 600 years, millions of golfers have swung their way around St Andrews courses. With cheaper tee times, it could become par for the course for many more. Louise Cowie, reporting Scotland, St Andrews.
Well, Lewis is here, and you were positively salivating over the prospect of
Couldn't
giving
contain
the course.
myself. I've already got my application in. Here's hoping, Laura.
No preference should be given here.
I know, definitely not, none of that. But hopefully.
Yes.
Thanks very much, Lana. Hello there. Well, the race will be the best of the rest. Looks like it could go right down to the wire, with third place Hibernian taking on Aberdeen, who are fifth, in a Premiership cracker this weekend. But recent results are irrelevant, according to Hibs defender Chris Cadden. Hibs are the league's in-form side, undefeated in the last 17 Premiership outings, while after an excellent start, Aberdeen are looking to finish the campaign on a high following a poor mid-season slump.
We don't get in for the last 17 games on Saturdays. That's all done, and whatever's done is in the past. The end of the season's getting close, so that'll be a bit of time to look back and whether we're successful or not is we can sort of review it from there. But right now, middle of the season, business end of the season, it's we're just all but looking forward and on to the next game.
Well, there's also a fiercely contested scrap at the bottom, with Dundee, one of 6 clubs desperate to avoid the drop. Their striker Simon Murray is playing down talk of a Scotland call-up and is fully focused on a relegation battle. The 33-year-old has found the net 21 times this season, leading some pundits to suggest he could do a job for the national coach Steve Clarke. Murray is flattered to be linked, but says for now it's club over country.
It's definitely an ambition. From a young age, I think that's any sort of player that wants to play football, wants to represent their country, and it's obviously something that would be unbelievable, but it's not my full focus or my focus at the moment. It's, I'm fully focused on helping Dundee stay in the Premier League, and if I do that and I do my job, then whatever happens, if something like that was to happen, then so be it.
Now it's players like Celtic goalkeeper Kasper Schmeichel here playing for their country that have led to Scottish clubs receiving almost €3 million from UEFA for releasing their players to their national teams. Europe's governing body have published what they've described as solidarity payments for the last 2 Nations League campaigns and Euro 2024 and its qualifiers. Celtic lead the way, receiving more than €1 million. Rangers were allocated roughly half that amount, with Hearts next. It cascades down, as you can see, and there was even €7,000 paid to Championship side Dunfermline. Glasgow City head coach Leanne Ross hopes the club's lack of silverware last season can spur them on to glory this campaign as they prepare for a Scottish Cup semi-final. City haven't won silverware since 2023 when they got their hands on that trophy there, the league, but with just Motherwell standing in their way from a cup final and just 3 points separating the top 3 in the SWPL, it could be a dramatic conclusion to the campaign.
The fact that we've not won a trophy since the last league title a couple of seasons ago makes it more special in terms of the opportunity to go and do that, but we've got a big game on Saturday before we can even start thinking about picking up a bit of silverware, so we need to focus on that and give Motherwell all the attention that they deserve, because they've got there for a reason as well. So we'll give them all the respect that they deserve, but we want to be out there winning that semi-final so that we've got the opportunity to play in the final come May.
Some more golf now, and the new chief executive of the R&A says he would love Donald Trump's Turnberry Golf Course to host the Open Championship again in the future. Mark Darbin insists the main issue is not who owns the course, but whether the Ayrshire venue and town is equipped to cope with the numbers attracted to the tournament. The BBC has been told that the UK government has asked the R&A about its position on the matter in recent months. Turnberry last hosted the Open in 2009. Rugby, and Glasgow Warriors back Josh Mackay is targeting a place in the Scotland squad after signing a new contract that will qualify him to play for the national team on residency grounds. Mackay is from New Zealand, but next year he'll have lived in Scotland for 5 years, meeting the eligibility criteria. If selected by Gregor Townsend, he'd follow in the footsteps of Warriors teammate Tom Jordan.
Yeah, I'd love to play for Scotland if they were willing to pick me. I think that'd be awesome. Obviously, the last name checks out, being a Mackay. So, yeah, obviously that's still a long way away, and I don't want to look that far into the future. Obviously, we've got a massive season still ahead of us. But yeah, it would be awesome if that worked out.
So he's got the name, maybe not the accent, but the name potentially.
Good stuff, thank you, Lewis. I'll let you go and practice that swing.
Thank you, better get going.
Judith is here. How's it looking, Judith, for golfers and for the rest of us?
Not too bad. If, yeah, it's a lot of dry weather actually this week, so it's good if you're heading out to the golf course. I've got a day off tomorrow. I think I might get the old clubs out there. Join me for a match, whatever you call it. Hello, a very good evening to you. Well, who needs Nice when we have our dross? And look at that, some yachts and some gorgeous sunshine there earlier on, and more of that to come. Now, a couple of flies in the ointment. The pressure chart always tells us what's happening. It's a really good kind of guide to what the week is holding. This week, pressure system bringing a glancing blow of some rain tonight to southwest Scotland, but then that high pressure builds in from the north, bringing a lot of dry, settled weather, and it's strong enough to take the energy out of these fronts that are coming our way later Friday and for the weekend as well. Now, as far as tonight's concerned, well, here's that rain across Northern Ireland, just grazing into southwest Scotland for a time tonight. Elsewhere, dry, lengthy clear spells tonight as well. Across the Northern Isles, we still have the last vestiges of a front that was with us today, bringing thicker cloud and outbreaks of showdy or outbreaks of patchy rain really for Shetland. Temperature-wise, could be cold enough for a touch of frost across the North Highlands. Most of us 4 or 5 degrees and a bit of cloud pushing into the east coast, and some of that through the central lowlands by tomorrow morning. Now, that will be with us first thing, but away from here, lots of sunshine for western Scotland. That cloud promises to thin and break, although lingering towards eastern coastal areas. Come the afternoon, it should have brightened up across Shetland, and occasionally fresh northeasterly wind here across the Northern Isles. It will make it feel cool, but we should see some brighter sunny spells, maybe a bit more cloud for Orkney. But across eastern Scotland, the risk of a few afternoon showers, still some of that cloud lingering for the east coast, and with more easterly in the breeze tomorrow, it'll feel cool right on the east coast itself. But whip across to the west, 16, possibly 17 degrees for the West Highlands. Again, always a risk of an afternoon shower. I think there'll mainly be a high ground feature. The best of the sunshine out towards the Western Isles. It'll be a glorious day here. Into tomorrow evening, well, any showers tend to die away. Still a bit of cloud for eastern coastal areas. A chilly old night to come, leading us into a chilly start to Thursday. A bit of an east-west bit initially with cloudier skies in the east. A cool feel here. The clouds should thin and break, coming into line with the rest of the country. Lots of dry weather, lots of sunshine, and some real warmth in the west as well. That's your forecast.
Lovely. Thank you, Judith. Now, tonight's main news again. The Scottish Government has accepted it must move at pace to implement the effects of the Supreme Court ruling that a woman is defined by biological sex. 3 boys with a rare muscle-wasting disease will be the first to get access to a life-prolonging drug by the end of next month. But there is disappointment from other families who may have to wait months for it. And the oldest golf course in the world is reducing its prices. The old course in St Andrews is making, which is the home of golf, and they're making it more affordable and accessible for some. And that is Reporting Scotland. I will have your late news around 10:30 tonight. Until then, from everyone on the team, enjoy your evening. Good night.